Christina. I am Whilst Iris Snaps on Instagram and Whilst Iris Snaps Designs, and this is a video about cross stitch. This is FlossTube number 14 and it's been a while. We have had what can only be described as an interesting month. We, like I know a lot of you, didn't get the Christmas that we'd planned or hoped for. We discovered on the 22nd of December that we would be spending our Christmas day in isolation. Fortunately, I was able to place an emergency grocery order to be delivered on the 23rd of December, so we were able to have a really lovely Christmas lunch. Although my husband and I have never in our lives had to cook a Christmas lunch before, but our children gave us a 9.5 out of 10, so we didn't do too badly. And it meant that our Christmas day, our big family get together, had to be delayed until New Year's Day. It wasn't ideal, but we made the most of it, and I'm sure that this Christmas will more than make up for it. Anyway, let's not dwell on that. What am I going to share with you in today's video? I would like to share some stitching from the archives, 2 framed pieces, both stitched by me this time and not my mum. I have some stitching to show that I've done since my previous video. I can't show a lot, I'm afraid, because I'm doing an awful lot of model stitching at the moment. I have some stitchy gifts from a stitchy friend to share. I have my competition winners from the video that I did just before Christmas, and I would like to finish with my new release, Miss Florence Rose Marriner 1886, or Floro as we've been calling her. Right, shall we get cracking? Stitching from the archives. First up is Something Old, Something New by Paula Vaughan, and I stitched this in 1992. I know this because I stitched my name and 92 in this framed piece here, and I seem to remember the chart was from a tiny lending library that was from my Nana's stitching group, and I had to stitch it up really quickly because somebody else was waiting for the chart. And why I was attracted to a chart with a wedding dress aged 15 or 16, I do not know, but Paula Vaughan's charts did seem to feature a lot of dresses, particularly wedding dresses at the time, didn't they? So yes, it's not really to my style, but I could never get rid of it. I have a lot of fond memories stitching with my Nana in her kitchen on this one. And there's no real opportunity to get it reframed because, as you can see, it's been stuck to the backing board. So yes, Paula Vaughan, Something Old, Something New. Next up is a design taken from a magazine called Cross Stitch Collection magazine, though I can't tell you much else about it, I'm afraid. When we moved house, I took the opportunity to get rid of an awful lot of my cross stitch magazines. Storing them was becoming increasingly problematic. You just can't keep them all, can you? So I can't give you an issue number or even a year. But what I can tell you is it's called Manuscript Alphabet, and it used just 2 colours of DMC and a Krynic, and I stitched it on 16 count Ada, a cream Ada. Now to stitchy gifts. I received the loveliest Christmas present from my friend Lainey. Lainey and I met, and I say met in inverted commas because we've never actually met in person, but Lainey and I got to know each other around 15 years ago when she and I both had a stitching blog. Mine is long neglected these days, sadly, but at the time Lainey would host a lot of the stitching exchanges that I participated in, and we've sent each other numerous stitchy gifts over the years. And here is what Lainey sent this year, or last year should I say. And Lainey tells me that it is a portion of a chart from Shakespeare's Peddlar that's called Antique Scissors and Spool. And I love how Lainey has finished this. And the little scissors charm at the top there. And she sent along a chocolate that's too nice to eat. I think I'm going to use it as a prop for future photographs for Instagram. And I thought I would share some other ornaments that Lainey has sent me over the years. This is Let It Snow, and it's by Buonaugurio from the 2008 Just Cross Stitch ornament issue. Lainey has a thing for snowmen. He is a cutie. And this one is Christmas Spots from the Trilogy. Love the jingly bells at the top there. Noel by From the Heart, and this is from the Just Cross Stitch ornament issue 2014. Another snowman. This is Snow by Glory B from the 2004 Just Cross Stitch ornament issue. I don't have this particular issue. I think the earliest one I have is 2007 maybe. And then finally, this is one that hangs all year round in our bedroom. I love pink and grey. This is Stitcher's Sampler by the Stitcherhood, and Lainey's finishing is absolutely perfect. So thank you so much, Lainey. I hope we are stitchy friends for many more years to come, and you never know, one day we may even get to meet in person. So what stitching have I managed to get done since my last video? Well, as mentioned earlier, I have been doing a lot of model stitching, so that must remain top secret for the time being. But earlier in the year, April and I had decided that we would both start the Moonshine cabin from Modern Folk Embroidery on Christmas Day. And although we were home all day on Christmas Day, I had underestimated just how frantic things would be, so I didn't get a great deal of stitching time. However, I did manage to put in a few stitches. Here it is. I'm using Creek Bed from the Gentler as my blue, and I'm not overly convinced that this is going to work for me just yet. I think I need to add a few more stitches before I make a decision as to yay or nay. I'm stitching it on 35 count slate grey from Zweigart. So yes, only time will tell with that one. I have also decided to take part in the hashtag 12 ornaments in 2022 over on Instagram, which is hosted by Caroline55. I did participate last year and only managed a measly 4 ornaments, so I must try harder this year. The premise being that you stitch 1 ornament a month during 2022. I'm off to a good start. I have already stitched January's ornament. This is Figgy Pudding by Just Another Button Company. And here's the chart. If you purchase the button pack, then the chart is complimentary. And I saw this stitched up on Lou's Instagram page. Lou is Patient Stitcher over on Instagram and commented how much I liked it. So Lou very kindly sent me the chart and the threads. And because Lou had already used the buttons, I had to improvise, and I used an old red button from my Nana's old button tin, and I decided to use fabric for the holly leaves. And I stitched this on 35 count Cocoa from Weeks Dye Works. And Lou asked if I would, once I was finished with the chart, if I would pass it on to a fellow Christmas pudding lover. There must be some out there, it can't just be me. So if you would like to stitch this chart, then please could you use the word pudding in your comment, and I will choose a winner before my next video. I will, of course, send the threads along too. Now to my giveaway winners. You may recall in my last video I had a giveaway to celebrate 1 year of FlossTube. I had 3 prizes available. There were 2 pieces of minty fabric that I stitched my Let It Snow freebie on. I always want to say Let It Go. No, it was Let It Snow freebie, along with the snowflakes for finishing. So there were 2 pieces of minty fabric, and I asked you to use the word minty in your comment, and there was a prize of 3 Mary samplers. Mary Valak from Whilst Iris Snaps, Mary Harry from Modern Folk Embroidery, and Mary A.G. Small from Mama Loves You GB. And in order to be in with a chance of winning that prize, I asked you to use the word Mary. Earlier today, I chose our winners using a random comment picker. I'll insert the video here. Okay, let's choose the winners of my 1 year FlossTube anniversary giveaway. First up, we will do the 2 pieces of fabric. So I asked you to use the word minty. There were 230 unique comments. Let's pick a winner. First winner is Karen Hildreth. Beautiful ornaments. I plan on making ornaments this coming year for everyone. The minty fabric would be wonderful. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. Okay. Congratulations to Karen, and we'll go again. Pick another winner. And this time it's Rebecca Moore. It's hard to believe it has only been a year that you started FlossTube. Congratulations on your 1 year anniversary. Love your gingerbread chart. I don't really have any Marys in my life except for a previous co-worker. However, when I think of Mary as a name, I always think of Mary, Mother of Jesus. Love the verse on your Mary Smallthwaite sampler. It will be a minty day if and when you release her. Hoping you have a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Rebecca. So Rebecca is our second winner of the minty fabric. Now let's do the winner of the 3 Mary samplers. So I'll get the YouTube comments. There were 252 unique comments for Mary, so let's choose a winner. And the winner of the Mary samplers is Vicky in Canvas. Your 2 new Uncharted samplers are gorgeous. Mary made minty cookies for a Christmas treat. Thank you for all the extra information on your finishings. Happy holidays. Thank you, Vicky. Huge congratulations to the winners. Vicky in Kansas. I'm so sorry, I said Vicky in Canvas on the video. Didn't realise until I played it back. Clearly I am obsessed with sewing. Ladies, if you could get in touch with me either via my Facebook page, Instagram or my website to let me know your addresses and Vicky your email address, and I will get the prizes sent off ASAP. Thank you so much to all that entered. I really enjoyed reading through the comments, especially those telling me about the special Marys in your lives. Finally, to my new-ish release, the rather diminutive Florence Rose Marriner 1886. Florence's sampler is so tiny I decided to mount my model onto a spool, though it doesn't have to be finished this way. This size sampler lends itself to numerous creative finishes, doesn't it? I'll give you a close-up spin. The stitch count is just 78 by 95 stitches, and I stitched my model on 40 count hog bristle from Fox and Rabbit Designs using Weeks Dye Works threads, though as always I do provide a DMC conversion. There are no speciality stitches, so it is suitable to be stitched on linen or Aida, though I will mention and point out in her F, Florence has stitched 2 single back stitches for some reason. I don't know whether this was intentional or in error, but this is the way I've charted it too. It could very easily be exchanged for a single cross stitch. I simply had to have Florence's sampler as soon as I spotted that she had missed out the P and Q from one of her alphabets and then just shoved them in at the end. A girl after my own heart, and I did wonder if I should rename the chart Mind Your P's and Q's Florence Rose. I'll show you Florence's original sampler. It isn't in the best of conditions, unfortunately. The colours are quite faded, though they are slightly darker on the reverse. The seller of Florence's original sampler got in touch, firstly to double check that I'd received it okay, but secondly to ask what my intentions were. Was I going to restore it in some way? So I responded, stating my intentions, and sent a link to my website. I also added that I thought I'd found Florence Rose in the archives, that she had been born in a tiny hamlet called Well House in Berkshire. Well, the seller responded almost immediately to tell me that they had found Florence's sampler in some belongings of his great aunt, and that they had just assumed that it was something that she had purchased at some stage in her life. However, he tells me that his great aunt was born and raised in exactly the same area as Florence. So we now think that Florence was possibly a good friend of his family, or perhaps even a relative. I'm relieved to say he didn't request for the sampler to be returned. I think he was just pleased that it had gone to a good home. So what else can I tell you about Florence Rose Marriner? Well, as already said, she was born in Well House, Berkshire in 1874 to William Marriner, a farm labourer, and his wife Mary Pocock. Such an unusual surname, certainly not one that I've ever come across before. Florence was one of 4 children, all girls I believe, and Florence was the youngest. She was the youngest by some 13 years, so I can't help but feel that perhaps Florence was a midlife surprise for her parents. Her elder sister, Hannah, sadly passes away in her early 20s, leaving an infant to be cared for. The Marriner family take in the child. Florence's parents at this point are around 60 years old, but both of them working full-time. So I can't help but think that Florence would have played a fairly significant role in raising this child, a little girl called Marion, though in the censuses she is referred to as Minnie. Around this time, Florence's dad, William, makes the transition from farm labourer to pub landlord. He becomes the publican at the Fox Inn in Hermitage, a village quite close by. And in fact, Florence herself works at this inn. In one of the censuses, she's listed as an inn assistant. So I guess it was a family affair, everybody mucking in. The Fox Inn at Hermitage still stands. It's still on the high street there. So I will pop a photograph in here. At the age of 23, Florence marries James Adnams, a farm labourer. I did initially think that Adnams was a typo, that it should have been Adams, but when I mentioned this to my husband, he said, no, Adnams is definitely a surname. There is an Adnams brewery. Lo and behold, there was an Adnams brewery in Berkshire at the time, so I can't help but feel there must have been some kind of family connection. Adnams Brewery still produces beer and other alcoholic beverages to this day. To prove the point, my husband ordered some in for us. So this is one of their barley wines called Tally-Ho. Could it be any more English? Florence and James have 5 children together, all boys, but sadly 2 of them die in very early infancy. Their 3 grown boys / men stay very local to James and Florence, so I'd like to think that they were a close-knit family. So there you go, that's my new release. Florence Rose Marriner, 1886. I hope you love her as much as I do. I have included within the chart finishing instructions for the spool, but basically all I do is backstitch a border around the sampler, add eyelets either side. I've stitched as few as 4 before and as many as 18, and I like the look of both, so I think it's just down to personal preference. I finger press the top and the bottom to make a nice crisp edge, mount the sampler around the spool and then lace through the eyelets. Easy peasy. Now, have I remembered to mention everything? Oh, I will say that I purchased the spool from the very talented Jack, who is the Yorkshire woodturner. Jack is just 11 years old. Isn't this amazing? I will pop his details in the drop-down box below. I also purchased from Jack one of his little teeny weeny hedgehogs. How cute is that? This is for my friend who helps out at a hedgehog rescue centre. We've had hedgehogs nesting in our garden for the last few years. They're asleep at the moment, they're hibernating, although we did have a very dazed and confused hedgehog wandering about our lawn a few weeks ago because the weather at the moment is unseasonably warm here. I say warm, I mean above 0. So I think he thought spring had sprung, but I'm pleased to say he's now back in the nest. I will put in some footage of their antics in our garden from last year. I love the video of them in the dark. It looks like they're wearing teeny tiny tutus. On that note, I will end my video. Take care. I hope to see you very soon. Happy stitching. Bye bye.